What is going on, everybody? And happy solar eclipse day today. I'm your host, Israel Rivera, here with another edition of College Basketball Madness as we wrap up the college basketball season tonight with number one UConn versus number one Purdue, arguably two of the best teams in college basketball all season. We couldn't have scripted this any better. These two teams have been on a collision course ever since the beginning of the season, and we are here to finally witness it. But before we start the show, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast here at Prime Sports World on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And in case you missed us, you can catch us on all streaming platforms where podcasts can be heard. A little backlogged on that, but we will get updated on there. And don't forget to catch us on the PSWMG.com website, dropping all your up-to-date content on there. Just dropped a national championship preview for the men's here, so you guys don't want to miss that hot content on our website as well. But what a national championship that we have. And let me take these glasses off because I can't see anything. What a national championship showdown that we have tonight. We got a lot to cover. Hopefully we'll get some of the guys coming in here, maybe Matt James, but if not, I'm solo dolo as well. But what a national championship collision course that we're on. Arguably, like I said, two of the best teams in college basketball all season, two of the most dominant teams, probably the two most dominant teams in the tournament this season. It's the a movable force versus the unstoppable object in this one. So it's a pleasure to bring it to you as I've done for the last few years on College Basketball Madness, and I'll come back with some instant reaction to this game. But this should be a dandy, and I'm real excited for this matchup as we got to a lot to cover. But coming up first, I got to give a shout out. I got to give some flowers to some of the ladies. I didn't bring the instant reaction yesterday, or I didn't do a preview, but you can catch my preview that I had written on the website for this game. When South Carolina finished undefeated, defeating the Iowa Hawkeyes in the 2024 Women's Basketball National Championship. And let me tell you, what a hell of a game. These two teams were on a collision course. It was a rematch from last year. If we all remember, Iowa pulled off the inevitable. They beat South Carolina, a team that, another undefeated South Carolina team. This South Carolina team, Dawn Staley, I mean, I got to give her flowers. This program, this team has lost only 3 games in the last 3 years. They really feel like they should have won it last year. If they would have played LSU in the national championship last season, they feel like they could have won the national. This would be back to back to back for the South Carolina Lady Gamecocks, but they win 2 out of 3. And this was a hell of a game. Iowa started off hot. Caitlin Clark had 18 points in the first quarter. They came out. I think they were up 10 early. Double digits real early. They were just on fire. And then South Carolina started to settle in this game. Caitlin Clark ended up with 30 points on 28 shots, 5 assists, 8 rebounds. Camila Cardozo was a force on the inside. There was nobody really that can guard her. I know Hannah Stokey, the sophomore from Iowa, she's going to be a good player. She did, her best. Sydney Affolter tried to do her best. I mean, this is a small Iowa team trying to defend a girl that's 6'7", one of the best, post players in the game. Hannah Stokey, a sophomore, she has just progressed tremendously. She's going to be a pretty good one going forward for Iowa. But she had 11 points in the game. But I mean, Camila Cardozo was just putting girls in foul trouble. Kate Martin had 4 fouls. Falter had 3 fouls. Stokey had 2 fouls. O'Grady had a couple fouls. And these girls were just outmanned. I mean, Camila Cardozo had 15 points, 17 rebounds. She was just a force on the end. But honestly, let me just start off by saying this. Let me give one of the greatest players of our generation here, and Caitlin Clark. Let me give her flowers, because she ended her career as the NCAA's leading all-time scorer. Over Pete Maravich. I mean, people talking about Pistol Pete here. Caitlin Clark was just, she literally transcended the game. She's done everything for the sport of, college basketball, men and women, but women in particular, because, she's elevated the popularity of that game amongst, casual fans. I mean, I watch college basketball, men or women's, religiously. Um, so I'm a basketball savant, but there's people that are not, and they're casual fans, and she had the casual fan tuning in. I mean, the Final Four game between her and UConn is the most televised, watched event, basketball event, NBA event. Period. There's like 14 million people, pros, whatever. Um, it was a sight to behold. And she has brought that popularity to the game, and so have a lot of others, like, Angel Reese, has definitely brought popularity to the game. Cameron Brink has brought popularity to these ladies. I mean, this tournament had all the stars: Juju Watkins, Paige Beckers, Cameron Brink, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Camila Cardozo. And they had all the stars, in the tournament here. And I named 6 or 7, just off the top of my head, and it's hard for the casual fan to even name, 4 or 5 in the men. So this year, definitely, I think the women's had a big head. So big shout out. Let me give my flowers out to all the women out there, for contributing to the game. They had an excellent tournament. I think this tournament was probably better than the men's tournament, in my opinion. It was, more competitive. It was just more storylines. There were just a lot going on in this women's tournament. A lot of things going on. It was just every week was something, and it was a beautiful thing for the basketball world. So that's first, giving Caitlin Clark her flowers. She's one of the GOATs of this generation. She's done everything except win a national championship. Hopefully at the next level, she can bring the Indiana Fever, which she's the presumably number 1 pick, with her and Aaliyah Boston. They could bring them a WNBA championship to her trophy case. The second person I got to give my flowers to Dawn Staley. Oh my gosh, Hall of Fame player. One of the greatest. She's turned into, she's in that upper echelon of coaches. She's gonna be a Hall of Fame player, and she's gonna be a Hall of Fame 2 times. Hall of Fame player and a Hall of Fame coach, and probably at the end of the day, she's gonna be a Hall of Fame contributor to the game of women's basketball and the game of basketball, period. Just like how Jerry West was. She has just transcended the South Carolina. But before she got there, South Carolina wasn't, they weren't on the map, and she put them on the map. She put them on the map. I think this is her 3rd national championship as a coach. She just is such a great teacher. She's such a great coach with X's and O's. She's as a player, 6-time NBA All-Star, Olympic gold medal winner, 2-time Naismith College Player of the Year. She, I mean, 3-time national champ, 6 times she's taking South Carolina to the Final Four, 8-time SEC champion, tournament champion, 8-time regular season champion. I mean, she has been in her, I think it's 16 years of coaching. She has done so much for that program. And they're not going to stop. I think this team is obviously, I think, the number 1 team next season, as well. They have so many players coming back next season. It's ridiculous. I told somebody yesterday, there's going to be 5 girls on this team that are going to be top 10 picks, or even top 5 picks, top 10 picks. Cardozo's going to go out this year, right? Chloe Kitts is definitely going to be a first-round pick in the WNBA draft. Ashlyn Watkins is going to be a top 10 pick in the WNBA draft. Yeah, Chloe Kitts, Cardozo, Ashlyn Watkins, um, Tessa Johnson is definitely going to be a first round pick in the WNBA draft, and Malaysia Fulwiley probably might end up being the best out of all of them. And she's probably going to be a number 1 overall pick or a top 5 NBA pick. She is the lady Kyrie Irving. There is no other girl, there is no other female basketball player in college basketball that is scintillating, sensational, in the open court. She is the lady Kyrie Irving. She is the Kyrie Irving of women's basketball. When it's all said and done, Malaysia Fulwiley is going to be one of the greats of this era. She's going to win multiple national championships. I think next year they're going to run away with the 2. I think it's not even going to be close. I think South Carolina is going to repeat as national champs next year. I think they might go for a 3-peat because Chloe Kitts is a sophomore. They're all young. They're all young. I mean, Cardozo's the only upperclassman. I mean, Chloe Kitts is a sophomore. I think Bree Hall is a junior, but she doesn't. She's not trying to go to the WNBA. Raven Johnson is a sophomore. You know what I mean? Raven Johnson. Next person I'm gonna give. Pow is the only one that's probably is a senior. She's leaving. She's a transfer. She transferred in. Godly, I want to say she transferred in from a pack to Oregon. I was gonna say Washington, but it's Oregon. But she was a flamethrower for them this season. And she even said it. I mean, before she was looking for teams to transfer to her senior year, and she said, "Man, I really want to go play for South Carolina, not because that they're stacked, but because she feels like they needed that. They needed her 3-point shooting, and which is evident. I mean, she 3 or 4 from the 3-point land. She had 14 points. She was third. She was one of the third leading scorer on the team yesterday." Talk about end your season, your senior season. So yeah, five girls. You got 5 girls that are probably going to be first top 10 picks in the WNBA draft when it's all set in the next 2-3 years. It's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. So shout out to Dawn Staley for the amount of talent that she has stockpiled there at South Carolina. And I just can't wait to the future. I mean, in this game, I'm going to tell you when the game changed, because I know Iowa got out to that big lead or whatever in the first quarter. When they put in Malaysia Fulwiley, when Malaysia Fulwiley got in the game, she changed the whole tempo of the game. They started going a little bit fast. They were walking the ball up the court. They started going faster. They started making plays. She brought that tenacity. She put that energy into them. And then the next person I got to say for South Carolina was Raven Johnson. Raven Johnson, after her embarrassing moment last year where, Caitlin Clark waved her off at the 3-point line. Now, Raven Johnson shot terrible in this game. Well, she'll be probably the first one to tell you she shot terrible in this game. She was 1 of 11, 0 for 4 from 3. She was 1 for 2 from free throw. But let me tell you something. The defensive clinic that she put on Caitlin Clark from the second quarter on to the rest of the game, Caitlin Clark had to get 31 points. Caitlin Clark had to get 30 points on 28 shots. She picked her pocket multiple times. She had 4 steals on Caitlin Clark. She had 2 blocks on Caitlin Clark. It was a defensive clinic. This is the type of defense that Caitlin Clark is going to see. This is the type of athleticism that she's going to see at the next level. And Raven Johnson showed it. She you know what Raven Johnson did? She said, "You know what? I'm going to keep shooting because it's the Florida offense, but my main objective is to make things difficult on you. You're not getting 41 points again against us." And then she proved it. From the second quarter on. Raven Johnson was so huge in this game. I got to give her flowers. She was absolutely amazing in this game. And they don't win this game without Raven Johnson's defensive ability for 3 quarters of this game against Caitlin Clark. I think Caitlin Clark was 1 of 5 or something like that on Raven Johnson. Like, she was locking her up for a little bit. I mean, 30 points is not, you want to say 30 points, but she got 30 of those points on a lot of other guys. And then I got to give a shout out to, the 2 freshmen for South Carolina. Ashlyn Watkins is a sophomore, but and she was in foul trouble. She couldn't really get going. She had she had 20 rebounds in the previous game against NC State in the Final Four. She really wasn't too much of a factor. She was in foul trouble. She was in and out the game. But Malaysia Fulwiley and Tessa Johnson. Oh my gosh, Tessa Johnson. She was the leading scorer as a freshman. She was sensational. 3-6 from 3. She was cooking in this game. She was a playmaker. She was a sharpshooter. She played good defense. She had 19 points in this game. And then, like I said, Malaysia Fulwiley brought that energy. The two freshmen combined for 28 points in this game. And these are your two freshmen that are going to take you to another couple national championships, within the next couple years. So shout out to Tessa Johnson and Malaysia Fulwiley. Malaysia Fulwiley is probably next to Juju Watkins and some others, probably one of my favorite players to watch in women's college basketball. But shout out to the Lady Gamecocks for winning their second national championship in the last 3 seasons. As we turn the page and talk about the game tonight that's coming up in roughly about 20 minutes here. We got number 1 UConn going up against number 1 Purdue. And like I said, ladies and gentlemen, if you missed it, go ahead and catch my article here that I wrote on the national championship preview here. You don't want to miss that hot content as I make my predictions, as I made my prediction in-depth analysis on this basketball game here. But look, some match facts. UConn, they're looking to be the first repeat champion since the 2007 Florida Gators. Joakim Noah, Al Horford, Core Brewer, Torian Green, those guys. 05, 06, 06, 07. So that's the last 13 years. And then Purdue looking to become the Big Ten's first national champion since the 2000 Michigan State Spartans. If you guys remember that team, Mateen Cleaves and Jason Richardson were on that team. I'm taking it back. This is about 23, almost 24 years since the Big Ten has had a national championship. They've had teams play in the national championship. We've had, had Illinois in 04. You had Michigan. You had Michigan State playing in that. You had Ohio State. That was close back in 07. You had teams that made it to the Final Four, teams that made it to the national championship, but just could not get over the hump. So Purdue is looking to become that first Big Ten national champion in the last 23 plus years here for the Big Ten. Keys to the game. So let's start with Purdue. I think Purdue has to come out fast. This team loves to play fast. This team loves to get up and down the court, but they also like to play off Zach Edey. Zach Edey, unfortunately, is not going to get double teamed in this game. Okay, so Braden Smith is going to have to be able to create outside everybody. There's everybody else on that team. Like Fletcher Lawyer cannot create. He's not a playmaker like that. Fletcher Lawyer cannot. He's not a playmaker in terms of creating his own shot. The only other guy that can create his own shot is Braden Smith on his team at the point guard position. And unfortunately, he's going against a guy that's 6'5", 6'6". Braden Smith's 6 foot, 190 soaking wet with a rock in his hand. He's really small. But he's the only other guy that could probably create his own shot on his team. I like Kaufman Wren, who's had some big moments in the tournament, but Zach Edey is going to have to assert his dominance. I know. Look, this is like when Shaquille O'Neal went up against. This is what happens when all the great bigs go up against other great bigs. Dominant bigs, they show their dominance. This is what's going to happen in the NBA, right? You're going to go against guys that are just as good as you, maybe even better, but you're going to have to show your dominance. And this is one game. This isn't a playoff series or anything. Zach Edey has been the best player in college basketball. He's going against a long Donovan Clingan, 7-footer, long arms, can block shots. He's strong himself. This is going to be a hell of a matchup here. Battle of the bigs here in this matchup. Whichever big has the biggest impact defensively, which has been so far this year, this tournament has been Donovan Clingan, who's averaging 3.6 blocks a game, roughly, in the tournament, 18 and 10, 3.6 blocks a game. And Zach Edey's averaging 28 and 14, something ridiculous like that. But this is the first matchup where he has met his match. So the keys to the game for Purdue is to start out fast. You got to start out fast, and I think Zach Edey has to assert his dominance. He's got to start fast. He's got to try and get Donovan Clingan into foul trouble if you can. Once you can get Donovan Clingan into foul trouble, then I think, guys like, when they're going to have to force to be bringing Samson Johnson, and Samson Johnson just doesn't have the size. He has the athleticism, but he doesn't have the size and the girth to deal with Zach Edey. So if you can put 2 fouls on Clingan early, that's a key to the game. That is a big help for this Purdue team because, like I said, they're not going to, they didn't do it with DJ Burns. They let DJ Burns play him straight up as well. They didn't really double team Zach Edey as much. But with Clingan, they're not going to double team. And they're going to let them play it. They're going to let them ball it out. They're going to let them bump it out. And one thing is, look, Purdue has all year, 5 guys have shot over 40% from the three. This, as a team, they're a really great 3-point shooting team. They've only shot 38% from 3-point land from behind the arc in this tournament. They're going to have to get back to their regular shooting ways of shooting over 40% in this game in order to have a chance. I mean, we saw Alabama. They shot 40% from the game, but it's just the size, the defense, the tenacity, it just wears on you. Like, UConn doesn't need to shoot a lot of threes to be effective on offense. Like they are the best transition team in college basketball, and they get whatever whenever they want on a defensive possession. So key to the game for Purdue: start fast, assert Zach Edey's dominance. Key to the game for UConn is to make sure that you make sure that you don't give those shooters any clean looks. I think continue to play great perimeter defense like you have been, and assert your dominance on the perimeter. Just like Zach Edey's going to try to assert his dominance in the post, you got to assert your dominance on the perimeter and on the offensive end, right? You got guys, Stephon Castle is a McDonald's All-American. He's 6'6", 215. There's nobody on Purdue that can check him. Tristan Watton, 6'5", 6'6", 220. 215, 220. He's a grown man out there. Cam Spencer is over 6'2", 6'3". Alex Caravan's over 6'4", 6'4". So these guys are all big. They're just massive. They're massive. They're real long. They play great defense. They play together. They just have a great feel of where everybody's at on the court, and they don't give up a lot of second chance points. They're a great offensive rebounding team. They're a great defensive rebounding team. It's like when you put up a shot, it's one and done with UConn, and they're gone. So I think that's another key for Purdue is to crash the glass. If you can win the rebound game, I think you can have a chance. I mean, we saw it against Creighton. They were in a rebound game, and they shot over 40% from 3, and they got those open shots, right? Creighton was a bad, it was a 1-1 for UConn and Creighton. But, Purdue can, if they can do the similar things, these two teams haven't faced each other. If they can do similar things like Creighton did, they can win the game. But like UConn, the key to the game is just to assert your dominance on the perimeter and continue to play defense. Don't give those shooters any clean looks. No threes, like we say. No threes. Assert those dominance. Assert that dominance on the perimeter. I think everything will check out for UConn. And I think continue. And I think another key to the game is Donovan Clingan locking up the post. I think if Donovan Clingan can make life difficult on Zach Edey and make him have an inefficient night, turn him over a little bit, I think this can be, block some of his shots, get out and running. Like I said, they get out and run real fast. And if you can get out and run and limit Zach Edey, make him play defense, I think UConn is going to be good. I think Purdue's definitely, they're going to play zone in this matchup, just because of the fact that UConn just doesn't, they don't, I'm not going to say they don't shoot the 3 well, but that's not their strength. Sometimes they can go on a little cold spell, but like once they start making threes, they're unstoppable. I mean, they start making threes and UConn's unstoppable. So you're going to see a lot of zone from Purdue coming out the gate. Key matchup in this game, obviously, is Zach Edey and Donovan Clingan. It's the unstoppable, unstoppable force, immovable force. It's the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. Zach Edey and Donovan Clingan. Like I said, Zach Edey is this offensive force, right hook, left hook, pretty much getting deep post position. Donovan Clingan is gonna have to do his work early and not give up that post position, which he is very, very um uh, keen to doing, which he can do very well. He's an ace defensively. Like I said, he's a shot blocker, and this is what Zach Edey's going to see a lot of this type of. He's going to see length like this in the NBA. He's going to see guys like this in the NBA. This is a great test for Zach Edey right here, and so that's a key matchup right there in itself. And then another one is Tristan Newton versus Braden Smith. Braden's look. Braden Smith can't guard Tristan Newton. Braden Smith can't guard Tristan Newton. That's one where it's like Mason Gillis and Fletcher Lawyer and Lance Jones. Those guys are gonna have to do some work early, but it's just like UConn's just too big, man. They're just too big. They're too aggressive. It's just like that's a key matchup. Like if Braden Smith could make it hard on Tristan Newton, offensively, then I think that it's. But Tristan Newton is just too much of a playmaker, too good defensively, too big, too strong, too fast. Got a grown man body, NBA body, too skilled. Tristan Newton is just he's a force for Braden Smith. So that's a key matchup right there as well. Winning a turnover battle is a key matchup as well. And then X factors. X factors in this game. For both sides. I'm gonna go first. I think for Purdue, it's Fletcher Lawyer. He shot over 50. He's shooting 50% from beyond the arc in the tournament so far. He's clearly their best. There's best 3-point shooter on the floor in this tournament. He's made big shot after big shot after big shot. He just can't create his own shot. And so with Zach Edey not being double teamed, they're gonna have to get him on screens, pin down screens, stuff like that, to be able to get him open so he can make those necessary shots. I don't see them double team Zach Edey a lot, but when they do double team, he's got to be ready. Lance Jones has to be ready. And Lance Jones has shot it under 40% in this tournament. Braden Smith has to be ready. Mason Gillis has to be ready. So Heidi has to be ready. So all those guys have to be ready to shoot that basketball whenever the ball comes in and goes out to the perimeter. But yeah, Matt Painter, this is where you make your money, right? You have excellent shooters on the floor. You can't just be one-dimensional in your offensive game plan tonight. This is, UConn is going to do a lot of things that are going to make, Purdue frustrated. So you're going to have to try and get Fletcher Lawyer open. I think he could be an X factor. If he can knock down some big threes, I think Purdue can have a chance. And then on the UConn side, it's the diaper dandy. It's the freshman. It's Stephon Castle. I mean, there's literally. I mean, he's a lottery pick. There's literally nobody on Purdue that can guard him. I mean, he's a 3-level scorer. He can do it all. The only reason he's not averaging probably like 20 a game on this UConn team is because they're so deep. So they have Tristan Newton, they have Alex Caravan, they have Cam Spencer, they have guys that can score. They have Donovan Clingan. I mean, he's literally, on some nights he's their 4th or 5th option. When on most teams, like on Purdue, he'd be their like legit 2nd option, scoring 17 points a game easily, hands down. And we saw it against Alabama. He scored 20 points in that game, 21 points in that game. So Stephon Castle is definitely an X factor in this game. I absolutely can see him putting a stamp on his freshman season, improving his draft stock in this game. He knows all the scouts are watching this game. He's going to go out there and perform. I think Stephon Castle has a big game, in between 15 to 20 big points for UConn. And then here's my prediction. UConn last year after the tournament, I think in 6 games, they were a plus 120 in terms of point differential. Well, this season, they're already at a plus 125. This season, they've already beat all 5 opponents by 14 or more points. They're better this season. This team is better than last season's team. They have been the best team since the middle of last season to now. Danny Hurley is an excellent coach. He is one of the best coaches in the nation. My prediction is UConn wins this by double digits. It's a bad matchup for Purdue. Bad matchup for Purdue. Because the multiple playmakers that UConn has, right? Cam Spencer, Alex Caravan, Tristan Newton, Stephon Castle, even Donovan Klingen's a playmaker, in the post. They have 5 playmakers on the floor. They get out and run. They play tenacious defense on the perimeter. They're holding teams under 35% at 34.9% shooting from the field in the whole tournament. Okay, all these guys are long. Everybody's over 6'3". This is a big physical defensive team. And they're skilled. And it's going to be very difficult for Purdue to get in their groove when you got guys digging in you, when you got guys that are in you, when you have to go on the other end and you have to chase those guys around, and they can put the ball in the basket and they can score as well. So give me Purdue by double digits in this game. But like I said, for the keys of the game, Purdue can start out fast and they could, assert Zach Edey's dominance. It could be a lot closer. I think the foul discrepancy, Purdue is one of the best teams that get into the free throw line, right? They're one of the best teams because they constantly attack. Even though they're not, a lot of it's drive and kick, right? A lot of it's drive and kick. I don't think they'll be able to do that with UConn. And then on the other end, Purdue does play great defense without fouling. And they don't put you on the line as much. So, my prediction is solid, I think, in my opinion, though. I think UConn takes this by double digits. Purdue has to do a lot of that. They have to play defense without fouling. They have to make sure they get on the line a lot. I mean, this team averages the most free throws in NCAA in the men's game. And Jackie has to start his dominance, but I just don't see it. I think Donovan Klingen's going to be able to make things difficult on him with his length. He's going to block a few shots. He's going to hold it down in the paint there. They're going to get out and run. Samson Johnson's going to come out and block some shots and make some energetic plays. And I think, Tristan Newton is going to have a great floor game today. So yeah, give me Purdue. Give me UConn by double digits and to become the first repeat champ since the 2007 Florida Gators. Let me know what your predictions are down there in the comment section, everybody. As the game is 5 minutes away, and I cannot wait. Ladies and gentlemen, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast here at Prime Sports World. And in case you missed, you catch us on all streaming platforms where podcasts can be heard. Ladies and gentlemen, I will come back here for instant reaction. You guys enjoy the game. In the case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, ladies and gentlemen, as I will come back here for instant reaction. But if I don't see you, sayonara, suckers, as Israel Rivera signs off here for the national championship preview. Enjoy the name.